Alright boys, I went back into the catalog and I found one more game to cast in the month of May. I'm sure we'll be back on June games pretty soon, but here we have Hamster taking on ArbuzBudesh. Arbuz, my man, you have been playing so many games of Cosmonarchy. People in the chat and the comments are talking about how you're some kind of guy they play in other RTS games, and how they're like, oh man, I don't know if I can play this game, this seems really intimidating. And meanwhile, you just rock up and be like, actually, I'm a terrible player, and meanwhile, just beat out all these players that we all know and love, show them what for. I just saw you, I was spectating a live match and he was fighting the Shambler and he beat the Shambler and he made the Shambler type, and oh my god. And I think I just watched the good part, obviously the game that the Shambler won I didn't see. So in my head canon, he never won versus Arbuz. Arbuz undefeated. Let's see if Hamster can mar his record here, as of course Arbuz did have a nice showing in the May Royal Invitational, where he sort of just showed up as like a wild card to replace none other than Mystery Meat, and did pretty well for himself. So we have Arbuz in the top left here of Blackwater Bastion, a map by Biddy. And of course down here in the bottom right, we have Hamster. Hamster rocking the Terran. I have no doubt that we will see some bio out of Hamster's side. Hamster has been a guy who really loves that bio play. He really loves the idea of charging headfirst into the wall over and over again. And I speculated, his Discord status updated some time ago. I don't know if it's still this now, but it was back when I looked at this not so long ago, to say, hey, he chose the path of perpetual torment. And all I could think of is, oh, he's playing Terran and he wants to go bio. So that's his path. And he wants to see if he can practice up for Acropolis numero 2. So, hey, if you guys are into sort of tournaments and 1v1s and stuff, stay tuned. We got more when it comes to the competitive side on the market, in the pipeline, so to speak. And the other thing that's worth pointing out about Cosmonarchy is obviously it's very different than StarCraft 1, and one of the ways that we want to be different is not just to emulate StarCraft 1 with 1v1s all the time. You might have seen a cast on this very channel a couple days ago, obviously cataloging a great 3 versus 3 match on Waterloo. So that was very exciting. We've got plenty more where that came from when we update the map pool to feature new 2v2 and 3v3 maps, and I'm kind of thinking, I was thinking that one of our invitationals coming up would be a lower tier invitational in terms of it being like an underclass tournament. We have those from time to time so that newer players, less experienced players, just flat out less good players can participate and feel competitive and try to, have something to practice for, have something to work towards. A tier 2 event, you can think of it as, with Acropolis being our tier 1. And I think that's great, but I also think maybe we'll just convert that into a 2v2 or something, or in addition to having that underclass 1v1 invitational, we'll also go for a 2-on-2 match. That could very well be the case. So that's something that I'm thinking about. I'll keep you guys posted on that one, and we'll see where we go. Now, I gotta say, it's a good thing that I'm recording this in the evening of the night before it goes up on YouTube, and it's a good thing that I don't have flux on anymore. It might not be a good thing for my eyes and my sleep schedule, but it is a good thing for my color visibility, because I'm noticing that the magma color here that Hamster is rocking is pretty similar in minimap tones to whatever Arbuz rolled. I guess it's just red. I wonder if he's picked red, because I've seen Arbuz as like red all the time. I wonder if his preferred color is actually red. So he scouted with his scribe, the double stockade, and a bunch of Mavericks. He doesn't know that it's a triple stockade behind it. He's going to go Hierophant first, which is very, very safe against pretty much anything that's going to be early action. Because you can kind of take one piece of the puzzle and immediately slow it, allow you to catch it. You'll see it with the Mason here, that overlay on top of it. It doesn't affect it right now, but if the Hierophant gets close enough, yep, you can see it already. It's starting to slow it down. So the Mavericks have already stimmed. They're going to see if they can come on in and save that Mason. But as that Hierophant says, the fate of all fools, man, he's out of there. He's out. He's too fast, too furious. And now Hamster is going to run up the ramp just to see a Zealot. The Ecclesias is going to keep that Zealot alive forever and ever and ever. And yeah, Hamster's just going to have to stim his drug out of the lunatic troopers all the way back home at this point, because he ain't doing nothing with that. And that's what you get for face checking with the Mason. Face checking, a term borrowed from MOBAs, where you face check a bush or whatever in Dota or something like that. Yeah, that's basically what Hamster just did. He face checked the Hierophant up a cliff. He had no idea. And he used a Mason to do it, which, theoretically could have repaired the Mavericks, because you can repair bio just like you can use Clerics instead of Medics to heal Mech. In fact, I'll never forget one of the things that Artosis said out loud when watching the bit of a cast that I donated to him for him to see, where he saw glassing. Because, of course, that's what I wanted to show Artosis. I wanted to show glassing. Glassing a Terran base, no less. And I was also talking about clerics and cataphracts and stuff. And really, like, besides him saying, what? The only other word that he said before going on his short discussion about how he would never want to play that because it has glassing in it or whatever, he said, clerics? And that got me, man. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but that should be an Artosis copy pasta now. Artosis, the last time you watched my game, you said clerics with a question mark. Can you elaborate on that? There's been a lot of advertisement that people like Dead Infested have been doing, so shout out to you guys. But we're about to see the first real engagement of the game, since that Mason did indeed get stymied early on. You can't make the anchor forward, which is what I was trying to say before going on to that cleric tangent, is that you can't really build the anchor if your Mason's dead, obviously. So there's no real hope for any pressure, and I honestly don't know if it would have been able to do it anyway. He would have had to try to maybe make it up here to delay the Nexus or something, which is not really something that we see happen too often. And you can see here, Arbuz, he didn't even want to take that chance at that fight. Maybe he could have actually done some damage there, and maybe the Harakans would have come to the savior. You know, there's two of them in this anchor, which really just took me by surprise. I thought for, you know, I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of ecclesiasts with this army. Arbuz, a known ecclesiast enjoyer. But I was really suspecting that the Harakans would be better served outside of the anchor so that they could burn down the Zealots. However, if the Zealots attack the anchor, I guess that's one thing. I'm also used to Protoss Gateway armies being comprised mostly of Drakidans, which are the analog to the Dragoon. The one Maverick scouting across over here. He sees a lot of Protoss before his death. What will Hamster do with that? He's equipped himself with the Star Pad. He's got one Covenant producing Eidolons. Dude, I love myself some Eidolons. Or if you're Shambler, they're pronounced Edgelons. I don't know why. They're not even really that edgy yet. I was thinking about revoicing them and making them slightly more edgy. I do like myself some edge. I think you can feel like an optimal amount of edge on something like the Savant for the voice acting for that unit. You know, there's some little lore tidbits to it, like when he pops out one of his ready lines, because we've got multiple ready lines for when the unit is trained instead of only having one. We have the technology to have more than one. So we use that technology. We've got a couple of them. One of them is disconnected, awaiting orders. And that's kind of like, oh, yeah, he had to literally disconnect from a battery to get out of his, you know, to start charging. You know, his suit disconnects from the battery. I don't know, something like that's kind of thematic and interesting. Meanwhile, we've got more drug use happening on the server. I can't believe that. This is a Christian server. I don't know if you guys missed that based on Alexander being back, but he is indeed back. He might even comment on this video. We'll see. The Ant Seal flying around and spectating. When you have detection like the Ant Seal, you can actually see the production queue. So he knows, of course, on the Hamster side, he knows that there is an Architect coming. What do you do about Architects? Well, if you're Nebelheim, you build a Trojan from this star pad and you start airlifting Harakans onto the Architect. It's a great tactic. It's beautiful. One of them already out, so the other one will be soon to follow. And it looks like he's just going to go out with this attack. Yeah, Arbuz rocking the one Architect timing attack. Back in my day, Architects shot air units. I know, Veek was actually saying they should shoot air units still. Maybe if they get moved to another structure. You know, the Unitary Union is something I was thinking about adding. Unfortunately, we are at the mercy of the iScript extender for now, which is our next big focus, now that we're kind of done with a bunch of other details and doodads. Speaking of, if you ever type doodad on the server, there's a very high chance that dad reacts to you, which I think is great. Really helps elevate mapping discourse. So here comes the Architect. The Eidolons are on the cliff. I think as long as the Architect remains over here... No, he actually can get bopped over here from the high ground. Now he is... He's still taking some pot shots, and he still ends up dealing with the Harakans. You'll notice about the Architect, if the missile flies a decent amount of distance, it will start to split to up to 2 additional targets. And so that is something that you really have to watch out for with the Architect, where you want to try to engage on top of it with something like a Harakan combat drop. But the Zealots are going to be made short work of here. The other problem, though, is that the Eidolon count isn't that high yet. However, Arbuz isn't really focusing them down. He's trying to clear out all the Mavericks, which are currently being taken care of, and the Ecclesiasts charging forward to do their best, but the Ant Seal is doing its best to protect the Ecclesiasts' fire from damaging any of the Eidolons. That's just crazy, man. Well, some tight engagements. Armies traded down. The Witness is here for detection, so that will allow the Architect to be... Oh my god, never mind. It will not allow the Architect to do a damn thing, because that trick shot sniper move just absolutely eviscerated the Witness, and thus the Architect along with it. Expensive. Speaking of, there's 1,300 minerals in the bank for Arbuz, so he can spend that down on some additional production. Looks like Grand Library is his choice, as we have a second Covenant, and we have even more stockades being added. It's Eidolon Maverick Hurakan. Look at that, just add more stockades. More and more. The worker count favoring Hamster for now. We do have an embassy out, but that's actually being used for witnesses right now. Otherwise, just 2 nexuses for production. Again, 2 grand libraries. So the embassy, the forge graphic here, actually can make workers as well. We'll see if Arbuz decides to do that. Elects to use it for that. We have a 1 quarry, 2 quarries. Okay, so we have 3 production queues, soon to be 4 with this ministry. And that will be it for Hamster, as he's thinking about taking a 3rd base. Arbuz doing the same idea, indeed committing to a 3rd base himself. But he can't really attack across the map right now. Ah, there's the Trojan, and full of Hurakans. Equal parts Maverick and Hurakan. That might be pretty good as far as the ratio is concerned. I mean, obviously, insert your joke here about making it entirely made out of Hurakans. But the armor rend that the Hurakan provides really does maximize the amount of damage you can get done with a Maverick. So this could actually end up being pretty powerful. We got some Atreus's coming out here. Versus Bio, they are pretty good. I know that there's some Atreus detractors in the comment section, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll join you in that. I think Neblime showed you could do a lot with Atreus spam versus Protoss, of all things, but he did eventually get slapped by Demiurges. So we'll just say there's we have to wait and see on that one. I also think that Protoss versus Protoss changes pretty massively now that the Demiurge, like the Tyranny changes are in, where tyrannized units take a little bit of extra, well, notable extra damage. And also, afterwards, oh, look at this, he's not going to drop on top of the tech or the pylons or anything. After the changes, in addition to that, he's also going to go ahead and, you're just going to see them move a little bit faster when enemies are nearby. So, trying to burn down the gateway, I don't know about that. It feels like a bit of a waste to use all of this force just to get rid of the gateway, right? But he will get rid of it, you know, so it is something. Now he's trying to go after the workers with the Hurakans, which is not a bad idea. But his men are being chopped to pieces right now, and he doesn't seem to have an answer for that. So they don't end up getting back into the Trojan. Instead, he flies over here, and unfortunately for him, he will not be able to accomplish too much there. In fact, Arbuz is probably a little bit quizzical as to why the Trojan is still over here. He's like, wait a second, how did that get emptied? Scouts the Atreus, scouts the Cantavis. I think if he had hallucinated the Trojan, the Atreus would have killed it. But Arbuz, I mean, he's an Age of Empires guy. He's not necessarily a spellcasting guy. Do they have spellcasting in Age of Empires? Actually, I feel like they have conversion with the monks. Atlas coming down in the natural of all places. But all right, Hamster, you got your 3rd base set up. It's starting to produce. We already have an engram over here, as well as some interesting pylon art from Arbuz. So I look forward to seeing what transpires out of that. Take some screenshots and sell them as NFTs. I guess we missed that joke by a couple years. More pylons. Oh, he's got to rebuild his gateway. He's only on 1 gate. This is probably the strangest situation that he's ever seen. Bit of a frontal attack being attempted by Hamster, but again, you do need a little bit of advanced scouting. Here come the Anseals to try to pin out those witnesses, and nice Cantavis usage right there with the Psy Storm. Now, he's got to watch out. He doesn't want to lose his own witness to that storm, obviously. See what else we can get done here with the units that Hamster has to his name. He's got to watch out for the Architect splashing and missile projections and stuff. Oh, he snipes the Cantavis, but it's a little too late. There go down 3 or 4 different Eidolons. Your positioning has to be immaculate with this kind of army. You really can't afford making those kinds of faux pas. And he still hasn't sniped the Witness either, which means that, you know, at this point, Arbuz doesn't even need to reveal them with the Zealots, although, you know, that's a nice little feature of his army. You look at the fact that he's only got 4 left, and you can see that the Hurakan Eidolon Maverick combo is dealing with the units a little bit. All right, Hamster, what's the play now? Captaincies, of course, continue the bioheritage. Not sure what all of these stockades are going to be used for just yet, but, you know, you can never go wrong with more Hurakans. Also, I think it's worth noting, actually, that... oh, Ancestral Archives coming, and some Acantors as well, trying to get that crowd control in order. I like Arbuz's composition a lot. I think if we start getting up Tectons out, we're going to start to really test Hamster's resolve when it comes to dealing with all of these Protoss tools with Bio. Maybe he'll try to use those combat drops a bit more. But one of the things that I was thinking about lately is we have a little bit more of an invigorated... player base of people going for evolves and other UMS type maps, like Three Crows made evolves in Cosmonarchy, and you know, all those classic maps that people are all used to and familiar with by now. And it's been pretty cool to see people go for stuff like that. I think it's Definitely something that's worth enjoying and taking a look at. One of the things that I'm a little bit interested in, though, is whether or not we end up seeing, like, a lot of exhaustive unit testing. Because one of the things Nebelheim said was that, like, the Heracles for the Terran was a really awkward unit to use in that mode. And I wonder if, like, okay, if that's the worst unit in the mode, then maybe it should actually be unironically be buffed. So yes, I am theoretically conceptualizing the potential for balance updates to come from something as seemingly uncompetitive as as UMS maps. It could happen. It could happen. All right, these Eidolons are just bopping face right now. There's been a little bit of a delay on the attack force here. There's nothing in this anchor, so the Eidolons could definitely go in there. Here come the Witness. Oh, it is just going to get sniped. Yeah, both of them end up getting sniped because the Eidolons were on hold position, so they weren't aggroed on to anything else. This Cantavis a prime target, but not focused down by the Eidolons. You can actually see Hamster's thought process here. But so far, honestly, that seems like it was a pretty cost-efficient trade for Hamster. Now, the one thing that he doesn't have is tempo right now. Arbuz taking a 4th base at 12 o'clock is a pretty big deal. He does not have another base in construction, so far as I can tell. He is going to go ahead and wrangle the Apostle. There you go. And the, I was about to say Apothecary, but they both start with APOT, or APO, sorry. They have a T in them. You know what I mean. It's late. And the Apostle, I don't actually know if the Apostle currently, the distance mining of the neutral treasury in the middle of the map, or neutral ministry rather. I don't know, actually. Do we have the latest version of the Apostle? Like, do we have any version of the rework on for now? I feel like yes. But I think this is before some of the healing changes happen. So anyway, we'll see. But basically, if the Apostles turn the tide massively and really, like, this is actually the first time I'm going to be able to see the new thing in action for longer than just like 2 seconds before the Terran is overrun or something like that. I think that's what happened in one of the games I saw. Oh, sorry, I almost called him EUD again. It's Aoud, I believe is how you pronounce that guy's name. Aoud64, our best Terran player right now. He didn't really end up getting to use them too often when I saw, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes for Hamster. Glad that he's carrying the torch for Terran Bio. Somebody's got to do it. I mean, nobody has to, but somebody's got to, you know what I mean? If it's not Green Eggs and Spam and Roller Skates, at least it's Hamster. Dude, at least we have somebody. Because I know Moonhunter prefers the mech style, for sure. All right, so our blobs are congealing in the middle of the map. That sounds better anyway. The Uptecton is out. You better watch the fuck out, dude. The Uptecton's on the field. And looks like Hamster thinking about going to another main for an expansion, or maybe a third. Not great map control or vision from either player just yet, so that's something we can definitely see them improve upon later on. You can see here, Blizzard pathing at its finest. He's thinking about it. Now, an engram and an Acantor walk into a pylon wall. Oh, no. Well, you know what? I guess the Reclamation is going to help force multiply this pretty nicely. He's also pretty much guaranteed to get a Scribe here, I feel like. Yeah, there it is. Oh, my God. All right, now if Tecton just finished, that can definitely help this out. But look at that. The Eidolon's trying to do enough damage to it initially. Zealots can walk underneath it, so there's no worry about the path blocking there. And that's going to be some juicy AoE. The Issachantor was still alive for a little bit there, but finally gets put down. The workers turning tides and changing allegiances. Will Hamster take Protoss and fight his opponent? Right now he's trying to turn those Zealots back on his opponent. Eidolon gets the focus onto the Uptectons, and now he's got his own. You gotta watch out for that one, but meanwhile, of course, there's been an engagement on the other side. The third base has been entirely wiped. A bit of a base race right now. Very interesting. Zealots engaging onto Harakans. There are no Apostles back here to take command of those forces, and this is starting to snowball a little bit out of hand. Where is the AoE? We don't really have anything of the sort back at home for Arbuz, so he is going to have to remove the situation here. We saw Olympians being made. Those bad boys are very heavy-duty hitters. This Cantavis really needs to be used to good effect. I'm not so sure it's going to be. He's just kind of waypointed into the map right now. But also, this force is... Actually, I think it's kind of entered a bit of a stasis. It hasn't really been focused down. This Cantavis somehow still alive. Finally, this force is going to break through that ministry wall. And yeah, I honestly don't think Hamster can hold this either. He's only making 3 Eidolons at a time right now. I think he still has some Scribes over here, so he can rebuild production if he wants to. Atreus getting some nice shots down onto the... some of these units. Oh, the Harakan block is going to stop him from sniping an Apostle. Pretty big deal there. But we have got some Architects here. I think they're just on a rally. Okay, yeah, this Architect will start to take some pot shots. You can see the movement speed slow is in for the reclaimed units. Unfortunately, only good enough for a couple of shots there. Atlas going to be born, yeah, totally burned down. Nice Cantavis usage. He's going to go ahead and storm the ramp. That's kind of forcing Hamster's hand a little bit here. He doesn't have an Apostle out. He's going to go ahead and try to go through the storm again, but I think he's underestimated how long it's actually going to stay alive. Cyprian's as a desperate measure, but he's got to watch out for this. The push is up to the mains. I can't believe we're seeing a base race, dude. But he's rebuilt some gateways over here. Another storm. Another couple of frags. And as he waddles up the ramp, does his best to see what more he can do. I don't know. I think this is the last hurrah for Hamster. He's going to have to pull his army back and try to save himself. But this is where Arbuz can try to backstab or do a little bit of damage anyway. Let's see. Hamster's realizing, oh, you've got a little bit of forces over here. I guess I'll try to engage. So let's see what we can actually see come up through here. He's got to watch out for those Apostles. They're so vulnerable. They're so low on HP. There's only 3 of them here. But they are definitely force multiplying this pretty massively here as of right now. At the same time, the Flight of the Valkyries plays as Hamster evacuates his captaincies and his stockades. It does feel like right now, Arbuz, I mean, he's got the stuff over here in the top right? But he does need to clear that force. He can do it. He has the power to do it. Looks like only a couple of madcaps are left here. Yeah, they're kind of staying put underneath the ant seal, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But now, here's the problem, I think, with this position, right? Oh, Grand Library is being added over. He's got 4K minerals in the bank. He can absolutely still win this. Arbuz going to see if he can do some damage coming on back. He knows where his opponent's forces are, right? That's the big thing, is that he absolutely knows exactly where they are. So he can choose to try to attack into that. He looks like instead he's just going to go ahead and try to consolidate his position. And it looks like Hamster will be taking command of some Protoss and using the scribes. It's worth noting that the decay that occurs here, where they move slower and get a little bit of healing in sustained combat, which is one of the reasons why these units are so powerful as of right now, but they take so long to move anywhere. That is something that is inherited. Cantavis is coming on back. He's going to cast Storm on a non-existent mineral field and then get executed. Unfortunate. Okay, Engram Warden. Okay, static defense. Make it a lot harder for him to bust the ramp. Definitely the case. There's so many Eidolons still. And none of them even died, actually. That's the surprising part. None of them are reclaimed, right? They would have the overlay. Excuse me. The one Atreus has been destroyed by the Sentinel. There are 6 stockades over there. Where did the captaincies go? Oh, they landed over here, and they're going to start making stuff again. Is this the only mining that Hamster has? Because that's kind of an underrated aspect. Okay, no, he has some units over there, but he moved all of his Masons up to 12 o'clock. I wonder what that was about, because he also vacated his army. That is a very risky position for him to be in. He's going to have some Zealots over there now. Let's see what more he can do. He's got to watch out, because Arbuz could just lose his force over here. For having 3K minerals in the bank, he definitely could be producing more too, but this is a very chaotic situation. Getting a little bit of money still from that base, but it will eventually be taken care of. The fact that that Nexus went down and some of the workers also went down, that delays Hamster's ability to reinforce his army really heavily. You are going to see these units, by the way, heal up over time based on how much damage they sustain. So Protoss end up being very, very powerful with them. Arbuz can't take his eye off the ball right now. He's losing a little bit of pull. He is going to have to fall on back. Okay, the Stormers are here. The Storm Boys are here. Not to infringe on copyright or anything. That Uptecton is very dangerously low. But the best thing that you can do is just avoid standing next to it so that it can't be reclaimed. And that's exactly what Arbuz has done so far. Some very nice storms. It looks like all of the Apostles are dead. In fact, yeah, that's it. It's just the Eidolons now as the main damage dealers of this army. Uptecton standing under storm, that's not going to last you very long. And the Architects are going to go down too. The Witness for detection. I think Arbuz has done it, dude. He's got 3K in the bank too. I don't know. I don't see any way for Hamster to come back from this position. He does have a bunch of workers over there. He can build a Nexus up here in the top right natural. And this Architect somehow staying alive. Hard to believe, but it will be slowly pushed back. Ah, here's some madcaps. Ooh, slapped in the ass on the way out. Here come the workers. Yeah, they're headed down south. Okay, he's realized I have a ministry. I can land it and start making more workers over here. And slowly replenishing my stocks. He's going to land his stockades as well. Oh no, losing a Zealot. Oh, he has made some more Apostles. They cost so much gas, guys. Like, it's a crazy vulnerability. And you know what? I think Arbuz's composition with all of the Psystorm and stuff, that's the key thing, I think, that really helps deal with this composition from Hamster, which is kind of funny because I don't think he planned for that, but it was really cool to see in action anyway. All right, so Hamster's slowly relocating his captaincies over here so he can take command of his guild halls again. He can maybe field some autocrats, maybe field some Olympians for just steady damage. And now these witnesses need to start leaving the battlefield. There's 3 of them stacked up, so you can definitely take 2 of them and look around and see what's going on. We got Stargates coming, Grand Libraries as well. Yeah, spending through that bank. Hamster, meanwhile, kind of choice paralysis. He doesn't have any gas, so he's going to have to build Heracles for the mineral sponginess. Oh no, I think he's just set a rally point and he's kind of canceled the captaincy landing feature. He's trying to repair the Madcap. No, it had no health. Arbuz, you could have killed him. Ah, shit. It had 3 HP. And that's how I told him, yeah, you better not come back. Oh man, what an eclectic game. Here goes the captaincy. It's coming back. Witnesses through the middle. His 1 Atreus scout has indeed sighted where the enemy is. He doesn't know that the apostles are here, so he should definitely scout ahead to figure that out. But the Cantabuses can help. I guess the Atreuses aren't too bad either, but attacking up the cliff is going to give them pretty much equal weapon range, right? It's 7 range, yeah, and the apostles 5. So there was a version where they were 6 and they were much more powerful. That is not this version. You can see here Hamster trying to make it work with the scribe. He's going to see if he can put down some Protoss defenses, but you got to watch out for that, right? So now he's kind of given the game up now. I fear for Hamster's position. He allowed his opponent to get up the ramp, and now his Heracles front line and Zealots are starting to fall. Storm onto one of the Apostles. If it doesn't move, it's going to end up dying. And there it goes. Already canceled out. This one Apostle down here. Oh, Storm on the Witness. Okay, it doesn't kill the Witness, but it killed the Anseal, which is a pretty big deal. Where are the rest of the Storms? That's the question here. He actually reclaims his own Apostle, so that's a pretty big deal. But obviously, it's going to be pretty fucking slow as it is. All right, so he's taking command of that. Oh, he loses the Apostle on the way out. Maybe that was still worth it. Maybe that was still worth it. What Arbuz is realizing, though, is that he can overwhelm this position pretty easily with a more cost-efficient choice. And he also sees that, you know, some of these units are Zealots and Amaranths that were reclaimed. Yeah, he's probably, I would say he's learning. He's definitely learning. And I'm learning a thing or two as well. We've gone through so many iterations of Reclamation down the years, and I think what we should land on is something that is, like, fun, rule of cool to use, but also, obviously, like, engaging to play against. And so right now, I think the thing that I'm noticing, if I can just take a moment to talk game design a little bit for you guys while we're waiting for the next evolution in this very ridiculous match. Oh, autocrats are coming out too. Okay, very cool. What I'm noticing is that it feels like it's unclear how to play versus the tool. And it definitely feels like the way that Hamster was able to take control of units might not have been risk-prone. The tools were there for Arbuz to cancel that out, but they have to be very particular tools, it feels like, right? He's got to watch out about where he walks. These engrams can absolutely start sniping some of his units with their range advantage, but thankfully, oh yeah, if they were like over here, that would have been it. So he hugs the wall. He can't really siege this position, though. I think as soon as the Gladiuses turn up, I don't really see a way out for Hamster here. I feel like the Gladiuses could either threaten the base and kill the workers, or attack the military, and then at that point, what do you do to hold back? Atreus is now going to engage. There's 4 of them. Defenses are not up yet. He's stealing some workers. That's about it right now. Some of his units getting dragged on in, though. The engrams revealing themselves. And it looks like the Gladiuses will be going on a counterattack. We saw Arbuz do this even in a 3-on-3, so it's definitely not out of the question. Taking the Nexus down, okay. That was left wounded, walking wounded earlier, I believe. Or maybe that was remade, actually. I'm not sure. Oh, of course, a forward engram. A proxy engram at 27 minutes as Terran. Who would have guessed? Gladius stack. Not actually attacking the base that was right there. That's interesting. He wants to go after the main, I guess. There are some Eidolons here. Are these on an attack move? No, they're not. But Arbuz can definitely deal with them now. Yeah, okay. That's a guaranteed couple of kills. And now he can try to camp around this. It looks like instead something ended up getting canceled there. And a couple of Gladiuses over here shutting down mining as well. So you might be establishing this base over here, Hamster, but how are you going to fund anything else? You can't possibly do anything else now that all your bases are besieged. You're going to have to pull some of those forces back. He ends up doing so with the Eidolons. Not a bad move. If there's no witness around them, I mean, the Gladius can easily get sniped back. Yeah, it looks like that's going to be it for this base, though. There's the one Watchdog, but honestly, in this position, I would definitely attack into that Watchdog and Olympian combo, because I want to shut down all the production, especially the captaincies in particular, right? So here comes the Eidolons. They're not going after the 6 o'clock position, because there's not really anything over there anymore, I guess. Oh no, some of these, yeah, they were about to finish off some more Eidolons. That's a little unfortunate. I feel like since they're being camped anyway, it's, oh, poor guys. Absolutely ass blasted. There goes the Sentinel. So the Olympian deals more armor penetration or ignores more armor when attacking the target with its back turned. So you'll occasionally hear and see some sound effects there. But as much as he's trying to stand tall and as much as the Eidolons are trying to do their part as well, I still think this is too many Gladiuses. Now, hold on. Maybe this could actually take a turn, because the NCL definitely gave an unexpected amount of extra boost. However, I think even the 2 Olympians, as tanky as they are, they're not going to be enough to deal with that. But I guess they're enough to intimidate Arbuz. Now he's going to see if he can just try to heckle this Engram's position a little bit. Unfortunately, the answer for that is right now a no. See, we still have 1 Apostle with this force, and that's it. It's so low, dude. 26 health. Hamster knows that the hopes and dreams that he has in this match rest with that Apostle. He could be using it to take some of these corpses back, but as of right now, he is not. Instead, trying to manage and figure out where exactly the Gladiuses are going, and they're going back to 6 o'clock to shut down more mining as soon as Arbuz realizes it, and Hamster, he's only realized it now. That's going to be another big hit for his income. Trying to move over here where he's made a Nexus. And you know what? Because the workers inherit the reclamation status of the structures that get built by reclaimed workers, these scribes move slower and thus mine less efficiently, which is a pretty big deal. So hunting down all the workers, he's actually going to spot where this base is. Man, Hamster has so little money. And at some point, Arbuz could take top right. There's a bit of a hit squad to try to deal with these Gladiuses, and at that point, I do think this Bio Army beats the Gladius count, since it's so low. But we've got Amaranths out the wazoo. We got Arbuz on such little money as well. I can't believe it, dude. The worker count is down to 16 for Hamster and 14. Oh, no, that's military count. My mistake. The worker count is 6 for Hamster. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, well, another attempt with the Amaranths to charge forward and see if they can overwhelm this position. He wants to stick onto that Apostle if he figures it out. He wants to go after the Architect instead, but he doesn't realize that the Apostle and the Autocrat are the big money makers here for the Terran Arsenal. He is going to break down these defenses, which is going to be pretty big. And now that the Gladius bounces are started, I think this is the beginning of the end here. Indeed, the writing on the wall. Really not that much left here for Hamster to do. The Autocrat makes a best attempt at a final stand, but it's just not going to be enough. The Architect overwhelmed. Rest of his forces coming on up, but there's still plenty to go around here. The last hostile Amaranth taken care of. Olympians just punching the Amaranths to death is very thematic, by the way. You can see they do some pretty good damage, the Eidolons as well, very respectable, but Hamster just can't do anything from this position. A little sloppy of Arbuz to lose his last Gladius there. He's got another one in the back, but you know, what exactly is Hamster going to do with such little forces, right? Like, every little bit of damage that he takes is going to be kind of permanent at this point. Yep, going after the Eidolons makes perfect sense, although, obviously, you could be doing a little bit more damage there. No way, Arbuz! No way you call GG, man! Your opponent had 6 workers! Your opponent had 6 workers! I can't believe it. No, dude, that's dirty. I thought for sure Hamster was just going to call it there. He had so few units. He couldn't go up the ramp. Arbuz would have just been able to stick it out. Dude, what an insane game, honestly. Well, a twist until the end. What a ridiculous match. And yeah, let's just say I got some ideas for some changes to be made. This is actually, like, I think a more potent version because the healing was happening instantly. And what happens when the reclaimed unit rises from a corpse is it gets stunned while it heals up. That feature of it healing up over time and thus being susceptible to focus fire or whatever wasn't actually in the version that we just saw played out. So there have already been adjustments made. The stun is actually longer on the current version as well. But, you know, I've got a couple of ideas on what to do about that. So I'll go back and cook some more because maybe this one needs more time in the oven as far as a mechanic or an ability goes. But you guys can obviously stay tuned and stay subscribed for daily videos, and join our Discord server and play like these absolute crazy chads. GG.